The bids are in, the gavel is dropped. Ladies and gentlemen, here at WineBid, we are finally hammered. That's right, this is WineBid's podcasting at all things wine value, wine retail, wine auctions, and just wine. With you as always, I am Jeff McGurn on the WineBid marketing team. And of course, got here my compatriot, the Prince of Provence. That's right, our wine expert, Paul Walker. He is our expert of wine. And welcome again to the podcast, Paul. Today, we're going to be starting off with, let's say, what do you think? France. Let's start off with France. And I always start off with Bordeaux because for some reason it's at the top of my list every day. It's just the way I organize my list. So deal with it. 1988. Les Forts de la Tour for
Les Forts. Let's start your list off with at least a marginally,
Les Forts
appropriate and acceptable.
1998 Les Forts de la Tour. What do you think about that 190 price tag on that bad boy?
I mean, Les Forts is no joke in very serious vintages. Did you say 90?
98.
Okay, I picked the 90 because maybe that was last week. I just remember there was 90 in the auction, but how much is the 98?
190.
I'd buy the 90 over that any day because 90 Latour is, sort of that's a benchmark wine, right? It's like a top 10 of everybody in the world's picks or something. It's phenomenal. And so the Le Fort would be probably pretty solid, but for a few bucks more, I'd pick the 90. That's mine.
We've got this 93 Chateau Briand Blanc, which already has a bid on it.
Yeah,
three of them.
Funny because we talked about, I think last week, there was a Briand Blanc, and so it seems like every so often it just kind of filters in.
It filters in. 575 is what it's up to now. It has
that's sought after stuff.
It's super sought after stuff. Someone's trying to grab all three. 88 Costs already has a bid on it. Take it from 145 to 155. 82 Cheval Blanc. We have two of those, each with on them, taking them 715 to 765. I actually didn't think 760 for 82s. I didn't think 765 was too bad for the Cheval Blanc, right?
No.
Or actually 715 is what that person's going to get it at unless there's another bid on it. Although this early in the week, there might be some more action on that Cheval Blanc.
It's definitely kind of, you're right. I mean, there are some other kind of legendary wines from that vintage, and I don't know, it does seem a little less than some of the other superstars from 82, but it's also a controversial wine.
There's a controversial one. What I was interesting to see this 2015 Lynch Bage Blanc de Lynch Bage.
Oh, I didn't see that. There's a white Lynch Bage. Okay, that's kind of a rare one.
I was just gonna say we do not see like a ton of the white Lynch Bage. The Lynch Bage Blanc come along very often. I honestly it looks like we sold this one time before in July of 2022. Like that's the one time we've sold it other than now. I certainly don't feel like or the 15 anyway. But yeah, those are pretty rare. $85 didn't seem crazy to me. We have a bunch of splits of 82s, 750s of 86, 750s of 97, split of 09, 750 of 18, 6-bottle lot of splits of the 19, 3-bottle lot of 750s of the 19, and then some bottles of Aigrec. We've got 2 bottles of
Aigrec too. Yeah,
11 Aigrec.
I have a feeling those were added late too, but maybe not. I don't know. I just didn't see them yet.
Maybe you're just slacking. Sounds like operator error to me. 2012 La Conciliant we have 2 of those. One of them has a bid on it. And we have 3 lots total of La Conciliant, 5 total bottles, and two of them have bids. And those are at 110. I actually thought 110 was a decent price for a 12 La Conciliant.
Yeah, I mean, it's not an off vintage, but it's not a great vintage. And I think that
not a marquee vintage, but
it varies. It varies a lot.
I'm sure that's still killer wine. 70.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's probably not going to last, as long as the 10 or the 15, but
for sure,
it's great wine.
We've got a split of the 78 Gerard Larose, which has a bid on it, taking it from 55 to 56. I actually thought $56 isn't a bad deal for a 78 Gerard Larose split, right?
Not too bad.
Get yourself into a second growth for under 100, second growth with that much age for under $100. Nice 35th birthday wine for somebody this year. 86 Talbot. for 140. I've got my eye on that. And an 82 Vue Chateau Sartan for 275. Again, I didn't think that was a crazy price for VCC.
No.
15 Pavi McQueen. I don't know how to Macan. We have 8 of those at 70. I've got my eye on the 78 Discourse, which has WineBid taking it from 85 to 86. I also have my eye on the 09 Fleur Cardinal with, we have 6 of those. One of them's got a bid on it. That's at 55. I like Fleur Cardinal.
Yeah, it's not a bad deal because that's a great vintage. So
it's a great vintage and $55, 14 years of age. I got my eye on this 15 Roger. We have 6 of those at 50. And then a 75 Chateau Magdalene for 160.
I saw those Magdalene. They seemed kind of expensive.
I was like, yeah,
that wine in the auction that often,
we don't see it come along that often.
You know what? I figured it out. It's the William Kelly curse. This dude writes about places and he just wrote about Magdalene and he just blew it up. He was like, these wines are incredible. They're super classic, super traditional. And like, it's the old school of Bordeaux. If you want to try like very classic, long lasting, serious Bordeaux, this is what you want to drink. And now all of a sudden the prices have gone way up. I mean, that's my theory. Because he's done this with Burgundy a million times. He's just blown places through the roof and the prices just go sky high. And I swear he just had an article about Magdalene.
That's interesting.
But yeah, they're all expensive. They're all like over. The 94 is cheap, but that's not a great vintage. I mean, even 92 is 110. It's kind of a lot.
Yeah. And then the last one I had my eye on was this 11 Fiat Clinet. For 50.
Oh yeah, Fiat Clinet.
$55. I thought that was a pretty decent deal as well. What Bordeaux was I missing, Paul? What do you got your eye on?
Yeah, I mean, you hit on most the kind of the stars that I think we both agree on, oddly enough. But yeah, Aubrand Blanc, we talked about. There's some 03 and 09 Lafite in. 09 Les Ormes de Pez caught my eye because it wasn't expensive. It was 45. There were some, under 100 Bordeaux that I thought was 15 Pavé Macun is a great example. 08 Clement. There's some great Sauternes, some really good deals too. Raymond Lafon 86 half bottles for 20 at 26 right now. 85 Cedaro half bottles for 36. I thought those were just smoking deals for.
There was a lot of interesting,
very well aged. I mean, like seriously well aged, fantastic Sauternes for nothing. I mean, for under $40 they are half bottles, but you don't need it necessarily more than a half bottle Sauternes unless you got a giant group. But anyway. 2012 Petrus. These Plantier du Haut-Brion whites actually caught my eye because they're not expensive. I'm not sure how the 92 is drinking, but I did flag the 95. It's $35 and the color looks great. I don't know if you saw those. I think it's the second label of La Mission Haut-Brion Blanc, which is, horrifically expensive. Yeah, it's the second label of La Mission.
Wait, which is this?
It's called Plantier, Plantiers de Haut-Brion.
Yes.
There's the 95 white in, which actually has a bid. It looks like one of them's got a bid at 35, but there's another one without a bid. And I think there's also 92 in, but
there is 92, 94, 95.
Yeah, the colors are phenomenal. Yeah, 92, 94. And they look just fresh as day. I mean, they're just super, super clean. The labels are a little bit spotty, but that doesn't mean anything. And the fills are fantastic and the color's amazing. So anyway, I thought they stood out for sure. I might bid on those 95s if I get my act together. But actually, there's a couple lots of the 95. There's not just one. So yeah, there's some 85, 88, and 90 costs, like a nice trio of really, really great costs right there. And I think that pretty much covered Bordeaux for me.
Let's jump into Burgundy. I don't have like a ton in Burgundy. 14 Cocherie, obviously, Cocherie Merceau. We have 2 of those for $900 a piece, a paltry $900. I thought it was interesting, the 89 Domaine Ramené Chassagne Montrachet Rouge has a bid on it, taking from 70 to 71. A lot of people.
Yeah, I mean, That's about as inexpensive as you're going to get for Ramonet.
Yeah, I was gonna say like that's a spoken deal for Ramonet. $70.
Yeah.
Come on. And then actually one that I thought was kind of cool was this 14 Domaine Francois Ravenot Chablis Buteau Mag.
Yeah, that's a rare one.
That's
yeah, I mean,
a rare one.
Not cheap, but that's what you're going to pay for Ravenot these days. So.
I mean, but it's also in mag format.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I rarely ever see mags, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, you just don't see a lot. I mean, 2012 Favelli Corton Charlemagne for 170. I got my eye on that one. I noticed there's a ton of action on this 16 Alain Houdelot Noala Nuit Saint Georges Aubas de Combe. 3 bids have it from 60 to 83 already. I'm curious to see if that one breaks 100.
That's jumping.
Yeah, I'm guessing that'll continue to rise because there are 21 people tracking it.
Yeah, that's interesting. I wonder if this is like a super limited bottling. I mean, it's great vintage, but it's not that old. It's probably actually a little bit under, I would imagine, started at an old price. That's my guess. But, the market will take care of that in Burgundy, so...
That's right. Domaine Vince 87 Vincent Dovisa Chablis
Interesting.
Laforest, and there's a Leclos as well, but the Laforest has a bid.
Yeah,
185.
I saw that too. Yeah, I definitely flagged that as well. Color looks great though. The label's real banged up. There's some label damage on some of these Burgundies, but otherwise the wines look fantastic. Yeah, Leclos not that much more. 260 for the Leclos versus 185 for the Laforest.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised that the Leclos was only like $65 more, or I mean more than that, like $85 or whatever. Yeah, $85 more. Well, now $75 more. But the color, I thought the color looked decent, right?
Yeah,
just really cool. Really, I mean, so just some cool bottles, and cool to see an 87, an older vintage of this. 14 Domaine Fourier Gevry Chambertin Comme Monet Videvine for 195.
Como one.
And then 2011 Jean-Philippe Fichet Merceau Le Tesson. We have
another little batch of Fichet that came in. I think there was a bunch of it a couple of weeks ago, and now there's a new batch. Great stuff.
Great stuff. Already has a bid taken from 65 to 66. 15 Chateau de la Tour Clos Vougeot Villeville.
I saw that.
One bid taking it from 190 to 200.
Yeah, the old vines is I think I can't remember because Chateau Tour Clos Vougeot, so it's the property that inhabits the actual chateau on the Clos Vougeot property. I think it's the only building on that whole vineyard, but it's a sizable. I mean, it's a real chateau. It's a big, place compared to the rest of Burgundy. It's usually just like a little stone arch or something, but that's a proper chateau, and they own obviously a nice portion of the vineyard. But the old vines, there's old vines, and then there's non-old vines, and the old vines I think is significantly better. But I didn't think that was terrible. $200 for the 15.
No, and then we had a bunch of Hubert Lamé coming into auction, almost all of it with bids. I was looking at the one that I have my eye on is this 2012 Hubert Lamé Puny Montrachet Les Tremblots Villevine, which has 4 bids already, taking it from 75 to 79. So that's another one where I'm wondering, could we see that?
The 15's a lot more. The 15's at 120, so I think the 12 looks like a relative deal.
I mean,
15.
We're talking some pretty sought after stuff there. What have you got? What are you checking out in Burgundy?
I thought there were some really, really interesting things that we don't see that often. There's some 86 Vogüé Musigny in half bottles. Actually, excuse me, the 86 is 750. There's 88 in half bottles. 88's an amazing vintage. But anyway, I don't see half bottles of Vogüé Musigny hardly ever. So that's pretty cool. There's 3 of them. Some more of this Bernard Bonham Merceau has popped in. This stuff continues to just go crazy. There's 2 different bottles of the 2010 Charme de Sceaux Merceau at 325. There's some 15 Berthaud Gerbet. It's a producer that a buddy told me about. It's supposed to be great. And it's the Fixin, so it's not terribly expensive. $41 got a bid. It's 83 Lambre, Clos Lambre, older vintage there. Yeah, you mentioned the Fourier's, kind of nice, selections of sort of '07, '03, '06. Yeah, Hubert Lamy. There's also Magnum of the Lamy, Saint-Aubin Derrière Chez Edouard, Old Vines 14 for 110. I didn't think that was actually too bad. Considering obviously the Pouligny's are going to be quite a bit more, but still great stuff from Saint-Amand as well. 90 Lafleur, Bienvenue Betard. That's pretty cool at 950. 89 Lafleur, Pouligny Combats at 415. So yeah, some really amazing older white Burgundies. 88 Ramene Betard, 89 Ramene Chassagne. Oh, excuse me, those Chassagne Rouge. Sorry, you already mentioned that. Some younger Chablis that I thought was not expensive. 17 Vauqueré Les Clos for 65. Again, some older Sauzet. There's 87 Betard, 90 Betard, 85 Pouligny Village, and then 86 Pouligny Champcanet. 1938 Chauveau Charme Chambertin, which I thought was really wild. I don't know this producer. I don't know if it's around anymore. I'm sure some family relatives probably are. But anyway, Charme Chambertin from Chauveau at 615 for the 1938. It's pretty cool. Let's see. There's also 82 Chauvenet Lavaux Saint-Jacques for 130. I thought was interesting. Yeah, so a lot of really cool older wines. 78 Georges Lignier Bonne Mar for 360. 91 Guylaine Barteau, Chamomisi Beaubrun. Older hospice wine, the 83 Bichot Corton, Charlotte Dumais, a couple of those. So yes, just really cool. 83 Hubert de Monti Volnay Mitan Magnum for 375. I didn't think was terrible. So just a lot of stuff. Also the Ferret Puy Frisé, there's a bunch of that in different vintages. It's very cheap, $21 for the 09, 2010. But there's also the Clos de Jean Tête de Cru, which is like the reserve label. And there's the 2020, so newer vintage, 5 of those in at 45. That's great wine. And then you mentioned some of the Fichets, Osé de Rest, and there's Meursault Tesson. Old 78 Drouin Bone Clos de Mouche, I thought was really cool for 300. There's an 88 Chassagne Montrachet Marquis de la Guiche as well for 110. A bunch of Jadot wines. Some of them I thought were for some pretty cool deals, because there's 1990s. There's the Bone Turon for 45, or 1990 red Burgundy. Good luck finding that anywhere for. It's bone red, but still they last a long time.
You can find it, just not for a reasonable price.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. 1990 red Burgundy is crazy expensive, but I thought these were very interesting and not expensive. Also, the 09 Bone Clos des Ursules 55. I think that's still a fair deal. It's great wine. There's some Go New wines in 09 Bone Red for 40. I thought wasn't expensive. And the 61, again, some older stuff, 61 Patriarche Corton. And then there's 86 and 85 Florent de Merode, the Corton Clos de Loire from 86, and then the Corton Marichaude from 85. And they're not too expensive, 110 and 220 respectively. So yeah, just a lot of really interesting red and white, older, 30, 40-year-old, and much, much older in the case of the 1938. So yeah, cool cellar lineup this week for sure.
Let's jump over to Alsace. I'm gonna gloss over the one.
Guess what you're gonna mention.
You're always gonna mention this, but it's really good. And just because you don't like Zin Umbrecht.
No, I had some on my.
No, it's fine.
I had some on my list this week. I had that 08 brand SGN, because that's a rare one.
The brand SGN I thought was really cool. I mean, they've got like there. I believe there's a couple of SGNs. Yeah.
Yeah, there were some other ones too. I looked through it pretty quickly, but that one caught my eye.
Or not the Hundevere. Yeah, Angst Vincenheim we have as well. In addition to and then there's a bunch of other really cool stuff. There's some cool Pinot Gris from Trimbach, or a cool Pinot Gris from Trimbach. Actually, more than one, I feel like.
Well, there's Clos Saint-Hune, 85.
And there's there's an 85 Clos Saint-Hune for 380. I'll bet that one is just killer right now.
Yeah, the color looks fantastic too. It looks like great. Bottle's in great shape.
They've got some inexpensive Riesling Cuvée M's from Trimbach, 08, 12, 13. There's the 14 Marcel Dice Mumborg for 51, already has a bid. There's some Weinbachs from the 80s and 90s. There's the 89 VT and then a 90 Gewürztraminer, but I know you hate Gewürztraminer from Alsace. I like it, actually. And then some other 80 stuff from Weinbach, some Riesling, the Cuvée St. Catherine, and then the Cuvée Theoclostic Capuchins we've got as well. And then, a bunch more Weinbach. Go look at it. There's some really cool stuff, some really old stuff too.
We talked about in the recap, what was it? I can't remember the vintage of the Schlossberg.
Yeah.
And there's a new one this week and I think that went for quite. Was it I can't even remember. Was it a 90s vintage? I think it was.
I think it was the 90s, and this one's 92.
Yeah, it wasn't this old. It definitely wasn't this old.
It was a 90s. It was like a 90s one. So I'm curious to see where this one ends up. We've got a bunch of a couple bottles from Bot Gael, some Tokai Pinot Gris SGNs, which I thought was interesting, from 97, 500 milliliters. Those are only $35. Some Ostertag, some Sylvaner from Ostertag, some Pinot Gris from Ostertag, Domaine Ernst Burn, a bunch from the 90s.
I saw those Burn wines. I noticed those as well.
Notice those. Did you see the Schlumberger?
I did.
Those are really good. I have some Schlumberger. I've had some, and I love the Schlumberger stuff that I have. Pierre Spar is another one. I love their wine. 2000 Riesling. I'll bet you that is just killer right now. Just like a ton of really cool Alsatian wine this week. Let's move on to Beaujolais, shall we?
Hey, you were pausing there for a while. I was like, oh, dramatic pause.
I was like, what's that region called? Beaujolais.
Usually drop it in with Burgundy, but I shouldn't do that. It should have its own category, which I did do this time, actually. So
there's a ton of cool stuff, and I think coming out of Beaujolais, we've got some cool Cru Beaujolais, which Paul hates because they're delicious. But Julien Saunier, Jules Deschornais, Domaine Jean-Claude Lapalau. So a bunch of cool, and some Georges de Combes Morgan, but a bunch of cool Beaujolais this week. And I know you already mentioned them, so let's talk.
No, the Desjournais of the wines I actually was interested in, because there's 08 Moulin Avant. I tagged that bottle.
It's got a bit on it already.
We don't see too many of the Desjournais wines. And then there's this non-vintage
Vin de France. You mean multi-vintage. There are vintages in it, Paul. It's just multiple vintages.
Well, who knows? Maybe it's...
You never know.
Anyway, it's interesting, too, because it's called l'interdit, which means forbidden. So I don't know if it was like rule breaking as far as winemaking is concerned, or there's something going on there. But anyway, it's a rare one. We don't see it too often. So, and it's not expensive. $30 for the l'interdit.
Not expensive at all. Let's talk champagne. We've got
champagne is off the charts this week.
Crazy. 64 Dom Perignon, 66 Dom, 69 Dom, 70 Dom. Just like
crazy.
You practically do a vertical of Doms. It's just some crazy Dom Perignons coming into auction. That's not the only old champagne. We've got Krugs from the 70s, 71, Krug 79,
61 Krug collection.
61 Krug collection.
Yeah.
5 Krug collection, OWC. Just a ton of cool Krug. 79 Louis Roederer. I thought that was interesting. 73 Salon, 76 Salon, 79 Salons, 82. Just 79 Taittinger Brut Milsimé. That one is a mag format for 310. I didn't think that was crazy.
I didn't think that was a bad deal.
That's not a bad deal for a mag.
Yeah, Taittinger 79. It's pretty cool.
81 Taittinger Comte de Champagne Blanc de Blanc, 93. 05, 08. It's just like a who's who of crazy, cool old champagne this week.
Yeah, that's true.
Just some really, really interesting stuff. If you like champagne and you like aged champagne, this is your week. Go check. We just don't see this. I mean, come on, Paul. We don't see this much.
No, not all in
come to auction at one time.
Yeah, and it'll probably get grabbed up too because the salons are obviously just crazy, crazy rare. But there's some of the other, like the Jacques Casson, I don't think we've seen some of these older ones in a long time.
No, dude, the 90 Grand Cru Disé Epernay Blanc de Blanc Mag. I thought that one was like super, super duper cool.
Yeah, the labels look great. The color looks great. They're in really nice shape.
Dude, the quality on the 90 is like outstanding. It looks like brand new. And we've got a bunch of Jacqueson from the 80s and 90s. There's also an 89 Brut Signature mag in auction that I thought looked pretty decent. There's just so much good stuff this week in Champagne coming into auction.
Yeah, it's a great lineup for sure. And I mean, a lot of high-end wines. They're not cheap at all, but that's serious champagne. That's what it costs. I think the Laurent Perrier, I always like these wines too. There's some Grand Siècle, which, I mean, you can find it everywhere, but it's great wine. There's a Magnum, I think at 270. That was cool. There's some Paul Barra from 1988 too, which I don't know if we've sold Magnums of this before, but a couple mags of 88 Paul Barra for 400. Some older Philippe Pinot multi-vintage as well. Also Claude Aguas, which is one of my absolute favorites. So yeah, an 85 Vauclicot, the vintage rosé, great stuff. So yeah, awesome selection of champagne.
Going over to Jura, we've got only two new bottles coming from Jura, but they're high-end stuff. 16 Renault,
Bruyère
and Aline, Poup Eline Trussard, 255. We've got the 16 and the 18. I'm never gonna get that one.
these are tough ones for sure. Bruyère and Houillon are the words that matter because they're super expensive. 255 a piece for this Plussard.
We've got some interesting stuff coming in from the Loire. There's a bottle of 64 Domaine Huet Vouvray Claude de Bourg Malou from 64, and then a 71 as well. And then we've got like some 95 Chateau d'Espire Sauvignon Cuvée Spéciale for 35. I mean, there's just a ton of cool stuff from the Loire.
Yeah, there's some great wines. Great Vacheron Sancerre, Romat, and some
Gerard Boulez.
Domaine Pell wines, which I've read about. They're very inexpensive, $20 and $25 for Blanchet and Moreau Blanc from Métis Salon. And yeah, there's also some Dagenham Montamné 2015 for 180. Some really cool stuff. So yeah, a lot of interesting. Oh, there's a bottle in the Jura. You missed the bottle of Ganavat, which already has a bit on it.
Oh, did I miss the bottle of Ganavat? I wasn't sure the bottle of Ganavat in Jura. It's not. I don't think that's new this week.
Yeah, it is.
It's not showing up in for me.
2020 Ganavat, Beauté, Cuvée Viticole.
Let's go to Loire or Provence really quickly. We've got the 2007 Domaine Tempier.
I knew you were going to mention that.
Of course, but it's the only bottle coming in from Provence. I have to mention it. Let's head over to the Rhone before we wrap up here. What do you got out of the Rhone, Paul?
Oh yeah, crazy selection of Jean-Louis Chauve this week. Really amazing older wines, including the 91, which is oddly a lot more than the 1990, which I think is quite interesting. But the 91's at 1905.
More than twice the 19.
Yeah, I know. Crazy high. There's a Mag of 92, I thought, which was pretty awesome too. So, and then 91 Blanc, which I don't think we've seen in a long time. Really rare one there for 325, which actually doesn't seem too bad for rare older vintage white Chauve. But there's also some of the Saint Joseph from 91 and 94, considerably less than the Hermitage, but still not cheap. 125 for the 91 and 120 for the 94. And then there's let's see, Jean-Michel Guérin Côte Rôtie Grand Place 91 at 185. 15 Jean-Michel Cornas for 35. Thought that was a pretty darn good deal. Let's see. There's also some of the Guigal specialty Côte Rôties, the La Molina La Turque, 09 La Turque, 2012 La Turque. There's a 15 Ferraton Cornas, which I thought was a good deal. It's got a bid, actually, a couple bids, 37 right now. And yeah, some really interesting older stuff. There's Louis Chez Saint Joseph, 1991 for $21. So that'll probably get bid up beyond that, but still rare older Saint Joseph. 1990 Respite I Gigondas at 40. 1998 Alamand Cornas Reynard at 465. There's a couple of those. And yeah, so really nice batch of older wines. There's also some old Vieux Telegraph, 79, 81, 82. Some Vieux Lazare Chateauneuf Blanc caught my eye. It was $25 for the 2010. That should be drinking great. And then there's some Pego Cuvée Reservé 14, or excuse me, Reservé Blanc, which we don't see that often. So a couple of really neat white Chateauneufs, Saint-Préfert, Auguste Favier Reserve, 2011, 1998 Vieille Julien Reserve at 81. That was a pretty cool one. 1990 Domaine de la Solitude Chateauneuf, and then some Alain Vosges Cornas as well. Clos Saint-Jean, Chateau 16, 2010. I thought that was a good deal at 46. It's got a bid. And some Graillot Crozes Hermitage like you rode right now at 15 at 51. So
good stuff.
Yeah, bunch of fun stuff from Rhone this week.
A bunch of cool stuff from Rhone. And with that, that is our French episode. And this has been Jeff McGirt and Paul Walker from WineBid wishing you happy bidding and cheers.
Cheers.